I charge more than $500 an hour at my plumbing business. It might sound like a lot, but we're always busy and my guys make good money. If you charge less than $400 an hour, it's not enough. You'd be better off shutting down your business and getting a job.
When I talk to plumbers, they're typically charging some low number like $225 an hour. And here's what's crazy. When I ask them how they got that number, they always say the same thing. That's just going rate in my market. I'm already more expensive than so-and-so, blah, blah, blah. Why are you gonna base your prices off somebody else's business? You don't even know if they're profitable.
What's up, Joel?
Jared.
How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing pretty good, man. I just got my voice back.
Yep.
If you remember yesterday.
Oh, that's good timing. It'll be
I know.
good to talk for 2 hours.
I was pacing myself. I think I'm going to lose it by the end of it. Probably an hour into this.
You think so?
Yeah. So if I start really having to talk like this, you're just gonna have to hold it down, man. You're just gonna have to hold it down.
I got you.
Yeah.
I'll cover you.
But yeah, doing good. Halfway through the week. I've been confused this week. Mostly because I keep thinking it's like Thursday, or I kept thinking this whole week it was Wednesday.
Yeah.
I was even like verifying calls for Benton, and I was verifying Thursday calls. And I was like, "You good for the call tomorrow?" I was like, "On Thursday?" I was like, "Okay." I was just confused.
That's funny.
Yeah.
Yeah, it gets confusing. It's Podcast Wednesday, just so you know.
Mm-hmm. Oh,
okay.
That makes sense.
Yeah. I worked on Sunday. I worked a little bit on Saturday, which is normal, but I worked all day Sunday, which is not normal.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's got me I'm all flabbergasted. I'm all side-goggling all week.
Yeah, is that going to be like a normal thing for you, or were you just like, I got stuff to do?
So I just put out my plumbing business playbook, which we should put in the description of this video. If we remember.
Costin will remember. He's good at that kind of stuff.
He may remember. He may not even listen to this.
What?
And then, I was working on my playbook, and I wanted to get it out. And so I had 6 pages left, and I had to draw the illustrations. I didn't hand draw; they're all drawn in Canva, but I had to draw the illustrations, and then type all the stuff, and then have my good friend check over my writing and maybe rewrite some stuff.
Yeah, so your good friend, the robot.
My good friend.
Yes.
And then get it all, figured out, proofread the whole thing, make sure it's good. And then I built a landing page for it, set up the ad for it, and wanted to get it launched. Because I've been working on it for a long time.
Yep.
I put a lot of time and effort into it, just so it's valuable.
I think you should make it into a book. I think that'd be cool.
I thought about it. So you can actually self-publish a book on Amazon. I thought about doing that. I am going to do that, but I want to make it, I want to expand on it even more.
Yeah, gotcha.
So it's even more valuable.
When you when you were reading through it, did you go, oh, I can put more things in here?
Yeah.
Yeah. So
I totally could.
Gotcha. Yeah.
But it would just be more of a read. So right now it's okay, I got this free, it's 70 pages PDF. Just going over all the key points of a plumbing business. In the beginning, I go over the 3 stages, typically what we see where guys are at when they come to us. That way you can kind of identify what stage you're in.
Sure. Yeah,
and then
that's helpful.
At the bottom of the 3 stages, it tells you what you need to do to fix it. And then we go over all the fixes basically, and then some. That way guys have a good idea of what to do, right?
Would it make sense? Would it make sense for us to talk through that whole playbook on this podcast, on this episode?
Maybe we could. Let's start with the pricing because that's where it kind of starts. Starts with the 3 levels of plumbing business. Oh, I have it right here.
Yeah, you do. You do have it.
Isn't that hilarious?
Because I'm sorry, I haven't read your PDF yet.
Oh yeah, it's good.
Are you gonna do audible recording of it?
Maybe I'll do that on my.
Yeah, when you upgrade it.
Book.
Yeah.
But you can. There's some AI that you can pop this in and it'll read it to you.
Yeah, gotcha.
Which is cool. Maybe we'll just read it on a podcast or something. I could just sit here and read it.
We got to change the studio. We got to do some fire lighting. A big comfy chair you could sit in.
Yeah. So go grab your copy because it's super helpful. As well as there's an hourly rate calculator that you can grab. I know that's in the description. Hopefully this is in the description. If not, send us a message or comment on this and we'll make sure you get it.
And If you don't see it in your email, check your junk email.
Check your spam.
Yeah, check your spam.
Your promotions, whatever you call it.
Because we just send it
days.
through like an automated email service. And so a lot of times, like when I got it, it went to my junk email.
Yeah.
So.
Did you mark it not spam?
Probably not. Man. I know. Not even.
Okay, if you get this and it ends up in your spam, do us a favor and mark it non-spam.
Yeah, but then when we give more things out, then you want to check your junk email.
Yeah.
Because it'll go in your normal email.
It'll pop right in there.
Because I want to ask, like, the 3 stages specifically.
Let's go over the 3 stages, then we'll go over the pricing section, because the pricing section is probably the biggest mistake most people make. Mm-hmm. And there's a formula. It goes over the formula in here. Mm-hmm. So it's cool. You can see the formula. And then if you go get our hourly rate calculator, you can like see that formula in action. The calculator comes with a 45-minute walkthrough video as well that should be super helpful.
Mm-hmm. I tell people it is.
I would hope so.
Yeah, it's 45 minutes long.
45 minutes long. I'd hope it's helpful.
Yeah, and it was longer, but you cut your banjo solo.
Yeah, I
so
know.
that's not even in there anymore.
No.
You should put it back in.
What's cool is I had a guy on reach out on TikTok, comment on TikTok that he got my calculator, started charging more, changed his life.
Oh, yeah, that's awesome.
Started being profitable.
Wow.
That's cool.
Yeah, that's not your normal TikTok comment.
No, it's not. No, we get a lot of hate on
You should respond to that
so
one.
funny listening to the difference between TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube. It's like TikTok, just pretty much just pure hate.
Yeah, they just poop on you all day.
Instagram is like a mix of hate and like, yeah, this is how you do it. Some people are even on Instagram are like, yeah, this is like common plumbing business knowledge. And I'm like,
if you don't know this,
it's not common for everybody, right? And then YouTube, it's just like no hate, pretty much all good comments.
Yeah, that's
it's funny.
It's kind of like the same thing. Like Angie's and Yelp leads are going to be garbage. Everybody knows that. It's like the same thing as like TikTok. It's going to be garbage.
I don't want to badmouth people on TikTok, but it's like the sophistication goes up a notch with each platform or something.
That's like a whole, man. Yeah, I'm just thinking like it's just a weird. Those things are weird. Where like certain people will feel inclined to comment more or less in certain ways on different platforms. It's like a weird psychological position. I don't know. It's just so strange to me because it's like it's the same stuff. It's short form content on TikTok, like on Instagram.
It is, but if you think about it, like I don't go on TikTok and scroll through videos.
Yeah, me neither. It's far too addicting.
I don't go on Instagram and scroll through videos.
I stopped doing that because it's far too addicting.
I do go to YouTube and search videos.
Oh, sure. So there's more intent on YouTube.
Yeah, I wonder if that's the difference.
Yeah.
Because it's searchable.
And maybe because there's like maybe TikTok's ad algorithm is more aggressive, so people get more ads.
No.
They get more stuff, so they're just like, I don't really know.
I don't know either. I pay for YouTube Premium.
Oh, really?
Then I don't get ads. Yeah.
Yeah, I haven't jumped onto that ship yet. I just patiently wait.
You get the YouTube Music app, YouTube Studio. It's good.
Yeah.
It's the way to go. Yeah, let's jump into this.
Page 1.
Page 1. This is the playbook we use to scale plumbing businesses to $100K a month. Is basically what it is. And this is exactly, I tried to put it in steps that made sense, which is really hard to do because everybody's in a different spot. Okay.
Yeah, sure.
And this, if you go download this, it's got diagrams and all the good stuff. And I walk you through all that junk in here.
I think the diagrams are helpful because then they break it into a picture, so then you're not just reading text and words.
Yes, it is for me. Okay, so we're in section 1, which is the 3 levels of plumbing business. Okay. So I broke it up into revenue, profit, and staff. Okay. So level 1 is like when you first start out. It's $20K a month in revenue or less than $20K a month. Typically you're, negative to $3K in profit. It's typically what we see. And then as far as staff goes, there's nobody. It's just you, the business owner. And really your underlying problem at that point is the same as level 2. It's cash, but the cash isn't there because you're having a hard time finding new customers, right?
Sure, at that level 1 point.
Yeah. Typically, they have a hard time getting enough customers to make cash. So even if they were priced right, they're struggling to get more customers.
Yeah, sure.
It's like we got to get customers, and then we got to make sure you're charging enough to make money on those customers.
Right.
So level one, you know, yeah, it's tough. This is the toughest stage, in my opinion, just thinking about it. Their main stumbling block is just attracting new customers.
Sure.
The cool part about this is all you have to do is a little bit of marketing to get to level 2. Right?
Gotcha.
So all you have to do is figure out how to get enough customers. So typically in this stage, you don't have the money to hire a marketing company. If you're on the upper end of the 20K, then yeah, you could probably go hire a marketing company. If you're on the upper end of 20K and you're still charging less than $400 an hour, well, now you can just change your price, do the same amount of work, make it to level 2, go hire a marketing company, right?
Yeah, and chances are if you are underpriced and you're in the 20K range, somewhere in there, like you won't even really know how to manipulate. You won't probably understand your pricing as a system. So if you hired a marketing company, you wouldn't incorporate that cost immediately into your price.
Right.
Because it's just not in your field of vision yet that price is a system. You're like, this is my price, this is my going rate, whatever. So if you hired a marketing company, you just hired that company to the detriment of your profitability is probably what you would do.
Yes, you would. It would come out of your profit margins, which it shouldn't.
No.
It should come.
It's an expense.
You should be billing it. It's an expense to the business. You should be charging your customer for that expense. So that's level 1. Level 2 business is when they're doing 20 to 50K a month. We get a lot of these that come in, and they're typically doing like no profit or 10K in profit. And sometimes there's the owner, there's no CSR, there's no admin, but sometimes these guys will have like 2 or 3 technicians.
Yep.
If they're on the upper end of like 50K, they may have 2 or 3. Lower end, and by technicians, I mean like it's them and 2 other technicians, or them and 1 other technician, because they're technically a technician, right?
Yeah, they wear that hat as well.
Yes. And so if you're in that phase and you're doing 20 to 50K a month, and if it's just yourself, then you're probably doing pretty good. Like you're in this phase, but you're ready to just kick past it, right?
Yeah, and you could be doing a number of things, be doing well. Because I've talked to guys who work a ton, and they're doing those revenue numbers, but it's because they're working a lot, and their pricing might be on the better side, but it's not locked in yet.
Right. Yep. If you have, 1 or 2 other technicians working with you, and you're in that 20 to 50K a month, if you're busy, you're not charging enough.
Yeah.
If you're not busy, you're probably you don't have proper marketing in place. Right. So kind of level 1, you can go do guerrilla marketing, make it to level 2, but then it's like time to hire like a real marketing company and get a marketing system put in place. And then there's a checklist in this thing as well, so you can see what that looks like. And then if you make it to level 2, like revenue wise, and you have a couple guys and you're on the lower end and you don't have a marketing system in place, you want to hurry up and get that marketing system in place, especially like if you're lacking work at the time and you have these technicians hired on, but you can't keep them busy enough.
Sure.
They're just, those technicians are bleeding you dry, right?
Yeah.
And really what happened is you put the cart before the horse. You hired a technician before you had a system in place to get consistent call volume into your business. And that's a big mistake I see a lot of times. They're like, I'm really busy, I'm going to hire another guy. But then they haven't done anything to make sure that both of you can stay busy, or 3 of you can stay busy all year, right?
Yeah, there's just an assumption that we'll continue to be this busy.
Yes.
And I think, correct me if I'm wrong, but it seems like that happens often to guys who just start out. They're pretty busy because maybe they have a powerful initial word of mouth push.
Yep.
And then they're like, dang, I'm booked out 3 weeks.
Yeah.
I'm going to just hire my buddies and we're going to like just keep on this path.
Yep.
But then that initial momentum starts to die down because there's no method to get new leads in the door.
Typically what happens there is most people who are doing that are just underpriced. And so when it's just them working, they're able to make money because their overhead is so low. But the second they hire on their buddy, they don't understand how much their buddy is actually costing them.
Yeah.
And so when their buddy goes out and bills the customer, they either are barely making any money, breaking even, or they're losing money, right?
And this company we're talking about, they might not even really know.
They don't even know. So, and typically it's the third one. It's when their buddy goes out and bills, or the technician they hired goes out and bills the customer, they're actually losing money.
Sure.
So then you've got the owner working and you've got Tech 2 working. The owner's making money, and he always has because there's very little overhead with him. But now you have this technician out losing money. So he's actually taking money from the owner who is actually making money, and they fall into the trap of like, I just got to work more. Like, where's all my money going? They don't know. And they're like, we got to do more jobs, right? So they think they need more leads at that point. But really they just have a pricing problem.
Right.
If you're busy all day, most of the day, and you're at least billing out like half of your time, and there's not money left over, then you're underpriced.
Right. Yeah.
Good rule of thumb. Easy math is just charge $400 an hour to begin with if you don't know, right?
And if you came from like a big shop and you know that they were charging a lot, match their prices at least. Like,
if you came, like most of the big shops, if they've got like 20, 30 guys running around, they're going to be $400, $500, $600, $700 an hour. And if they can charge it, so can you.
Right.
And the reason they charge it is because they have to stay profitable.
Right.
And it's not even that their overhead is so stinking high. It's their overhead compared to the amount of technicians they have makes them have to charge, let's just say $500 an hour. For anybody who starts a business, when they get to that 3 technician level and they have a shop and vans and insurance and a marketing budget and the owner's playing the GM, their expenses to technician ratio is going to be the same as that big shop down the road.
Right.
And they have to charge the same in order to make a profit.
Yeah, let me run this thought by you, because I'll talk to guys and they'll be like, well, people tell me that the big shop is really cheap because they're so big, right? Economy of scale. Now, I usually push back on that. I'm like, well, do you really know that? Like, can you look at their books and really know? And you also don't know their margins. Like, you don't know a lot. So, like, we're talking about this, but let's bracket this in the conversation to say it's better to know your own numbers.
It is.
Like,
Definitely.
ultimately.
Yeah, for sure.
If you can't take the day to go through the pricing calculator and really put it all in there, it's better to just start at 400 or what those guys are charging.
Yeah.
So the thought that I came into my head when we were talking is the more technicians you get, like, and this is the thought, correct me, but the more liability you're going to have.
Yeah.
So yeah, you could get cheaper because economy of scale is in your favor, but you're going to have a lot more liability because you have so many more moving parts. You got more people out there. You got more chances for things to go wrong.
You do.
That your economy of scale is going to get wiped out if you lower your prices.
It's not even that. Economy of scale comes in phases, right?
Sure.
So you gain economy of scale, but then if you want to keep scaling, you have to lose it in order to gain more.
Because you
right?
gain overhead.
Because in order to scale at a certain point, you have to bring on management or more marketing or more systems or more software. Like the overhead becomes more complicated and more expensive to make it to the next step, right?
Yeah, so I guess you could be like, oh, we can be cheap now because we're at, we're over the first valley of despair, but you're just going to have to raise your prices again to get over the next hump.
You will. Yes.
Because you're going to need another manager or something.
Right. And so the big shops, they might be doing $10 million a year at 17, 20% profit margins. And then there's a shop down the road doing $2 million a year at 17 or 20% profit margins. the cost of running the business like per technician is going to be really close.
Yeah.
Right. The amount they're going to have to charge is going to be the same. And so the only reason to scale is that you just do more volume. So 20% of 10 million is a lot more money than 20% of 2 million. Right. And so that's why they're scaling, but it doesn't, it does drop a little bit, but really you should view that as safety.
Yeah.
So like when the owner pulls out of the truck, he can then hire technician 4, 5, and 6, and he gains some safety back in his business, right?
Right. Mm-hmm.
He can afford slow times now. He can make more money on the good times. He has a little bit more margin in his company. The second he hires on a general manager, margin gone. So then he has to scale up again to, 7, 8, 9, 10 technicians. But then at some point in time, you have more technicians than one manager can handle.
Right.
You've got to bring in more management,
right?
Which just raises your overhead even more.
Right.
And so then you would have to scale a little bit more to get that margin back. And that's just how it works.
Yep. Gotcha.
Yeah. And all those points are, the same.
Yeah. And
same price.
And I think the root of that conversation of like, oh, but that guy's big and he's charging less. I think what's happening there is people want an excuse to charge less because in our minds that is going to be easier to make the money and there's less resistance, right?
Yep.
So you're looking for reasons to charge less because of course it's, it feels like it's easier to charge less because then you don't have to deal with a customer being mad at you or frustrated or being the expensive business.
Yep.
But like if you notice yourself going, how can I make this cheaper? You need to like put a pause on that thought. And check that thought because that thought is probably coming out of an emotional response to doing something hard.
Yep.
Less than a logical reason that, well, no, you need to charge that much.
Correct.
It doesn't really matter what that person thinks. If you want a business, you have to charge that much.
It's just simple math, dude.
Yeah.
That's it.
Which we should all like be really excited about
because it makes it so easy.
Yeah. Because then you're not like, oh, am I doing the right thing?
Yes.
You're like, if you think the right thing is having a profitable business, then yes.
Yes.
If you think the right thing is not having a profitable business, then I guess no. So,
but if you're running a business and you don't think it's good to have a profitable business, you should get out of business because you're not doing anybody any favors.
And really, all the guys, I think everybody I've talked to, they all want to have a profitable business.
Yeah.
Like nobody, I've never talked to anybody who's like, no, I'd rather not. Like
plumbers, plumbers are, even though they get a bad rap, like they're in the construction industry, they are very equitable people. They're very concerned with, they do not want to rip off their customer, right? Mm-hmm. And so it's really tough when you come from a plumbing field and all you hear is those big guys, those expensive guys, they're just ripping the customers off. It's really tough to come to grips with, now I got to be the guy ripping the customers off.
Yeah.
But the reality is you're not. You're just running a good business.
Yeah.
It's really the other way around.
Mm-hmm.
The shop that you came from that wasn't charging enough, they were the ones getting ripped off by the customers.
Right.
And really, it's not the customer's fault.
No, they don't know.
They don't know. It was the business owner's fault giving his customers a discount at the detriment of his technicians, his business, and himself.
Yeah.
And that's not what you want to do.
Yeah, that's a good line. Put that on a coffee mug.
Put it on a coffee mug.
Don't discount your services to the detriment of your employees.
Yeah. No, don't do that. That's terrible. That's the last thing you want to do.
Right.
Yes. Okay, so level 2, you're still struggling with profit for the most part, and you don't have like a good customer acquisition system in place.
Right.
And you need to get that in place. Which brings us to level 3. Typically here, they're doing over $50K a month. Profit is anywhere from negative to $20K a month. And it's usually like the owner, they've got, 2 to 5 techs. If you're at 5 techs doing $50K, you're screwed. But if you're doing, if you've got 5 techs, the crazy part to me is like, if I had 5 techs, my techs, they bill out about $60,000 a month on average.
Mm-hmm.
So what is that? I can't do that math in my head.
Something under $1 million.
That'd be
I know
300,000 a month,
Mhm.
right? And here we are. We will literally find, like, we'll have people come to us. They'll be in this situation. They'll have 5 guys, and they're only doing 100,000 a month. Just, and so the profit is gone.
Mhm.
There is no profit,
Mhm.
right? And so really the problem is systems. Hopefully you've got your profit figured out by this point in time. If you do, your biggest challenges are systems. And that's typically why, like, in this phase, if you're charging enough and you're still not profitable, it's usually a lack of systems. So you have no system for your guys to follow. So they're going out and doing whatever.
Mhm.
Or there's no way for them to offer options, so they're not.
Right. Sure.
Or like all those things start piling on at this point in time.
Yeah, because you just got more guys doing stuff.
Or maybe your CSR there's no system on how she answers the phone.
Mm-hmm.
There's no system on triaging calls, that kind of stuff, right? So they struggle with profitability. They're still struggling with customer acquisition system. And they're struggling with, an underperforming crew, mainly due to systems.
Yeah, not necessarily due to the people they have.
It's usually due to lack of leadership
Sure.
and and by systems, what I mean is a way of doing business.
Sure.
This is how we do business here. This is how technician, you do your job. This is how you CSR do your job. So there's a lack of that in the business at this point. And so if at this point, like this is the point, if you could get to, like hopefully you get to here and it'd be nice to get to here and have that stuff kind of all figured out.
Sure.
But like when I got to level 3, we were doing a good amount of money. We probably weren't as profitable as I needed to be. And business started to get messy. Like we got 5 technicians and it was like, this is getting like the wild, wild west out here. And so you really need to take the time to put your systems in place, make sure everybody knows what they're doing, make sure you're on the right software, all that kind of stuff.
What does that feel like? What does that wild, wild west feel like to help guys identify if they're in it without knowing numbers and specifics?
It feels like chaos.
Sure.
'Cause it feels like you're like, man, we're super busy. My guys are running around like crazy, but there's no money. Or there's not as much money as there should be, right? So from the outside world, everybody's going to be like, you're doing so good. I remember my bookkeeper at this time was like, you're doing fantastic. And I was like, how?
Yeah.
I don't understand.
Yeah.
Like, do you know anything about business?
Yeah.
Because it doesn't seem like I'm doing as good as I should be.
Yeah. These numbers they're large, but
Yeah, we build out a lot of money, but if you scroll down to the bottom of that P&L, there's not very much left at the
that
bottom.
far right column doesn't seem to be just stacking cash.
Yeah, the amount I spent doesn't seem worth what I made.
Yeah, this exchange rate isn't
this seems
good.
a little risky, and that's something your bookkeeper will never understand.
Yeah,
because they're not in your business,
and their skill sets are different. They're not business owners. They're just
correct.
They're like, hey, here's all your numbers.
Yes.
Do interpret them as you will.
Yes.
Use them to great effect.
They don't even know how to set up your P&L properly.
No.
Which I go over in this PDF.
Yeah.
So go grab it because that's super important.
It is.
So yeah, it feels like the Wild West. Yeah. And the like the trap that I fell into was I'm pushing my guys. I pushed my guys really hard during this phase. And what ended up happening is they went out and they worked harder, but they didn't serve the customer as well. They didn't. So our average ticket started going down.
Sure.
So we started serving more customers, billing out less money per customer. So we made a little bit more money overall.
Sure.
But I was stressing the crap out of my guys.
Yeah, there was a cost to that
Yes,
money.
they were running ragged. And it wasn't until we put the systems in place and we started realizing we got to slow down and make sure we're maximizing every single job. That was game changer.
Yeah, which definitely can be counterintuitive because, guys will think like, well, I just need more. I need to do more and more and more because more jobs equals more money. So it's sometimes counterintuitive to be like, no.
And you train your guys to think that the money is made on the next job.
Oh, not the one on currently. Yeah. Whether you intend it or not, that's the result of that cadence, that culture.
So when I was in this phase, we were stacking the guys' schedules with 4 jobs. Plus we had a few in the bank in case they blew through their jobs. So what would happen is they would see their 3rd job. They would be like, that's a good opportunity. Yep. I want to make sure and get to that one because they care about the business and they're trying to make you money. And so they go to the first call and they're like, I'm not going to get this done in time to get over here and get to that good opportunity. And so they just blow through it and they offer like cheaper fixes. They don't take their time to like look at the whole picture. Right. And so they end up blowing through these first couple of jobs to get to that 3rd one. And then that 3rd one, the person doesn't want to move forward with the work.
Right. Or they cancel or
they cancel or whatever. Right. And so you end up just losing money that way. Mm-hmm. When we systemized and we realized we need to slow down, we started giving our guys 1 job at a time and going, the money is made on this job. Like,
take your time.
Serve the customer. Make them super happy. 5-star reviews went up. 1-star reviews went down. Bank account went up. It was really good for our business. So, yeah.
What's that? There's that running quote where it's like, go slow to go fast.
Go slow to go fast.
Where it's like guys will talk about like training at lower heartbeats. Because like if you train slow, then you'll be able to go fast at some point. At least that's what I understand. We're like, oh yeah, run at like like level 2 heartbeat for a certain amount of time, for a long time. You get really good at that. You're actually going to be able to go faster, quicker, or longer, or something.
Yeah, maybe.
But it's like
because it builds your muscles more.
Yeah, I think so, and it just builds like your oxygen levels in your blood or something.
Yeah, my wife knew she trained with a trainer who trained a guy for the Boston Marathon with no running.
Oh, interesting.
And he set a PR.
Oh, wow.
He's a weight trainer. So all he had him do was like core exercises, and it was kind of running. He would do like really short sprints in the parking lot, pulling like a thing that holds weights.
Yeah, like a sleigh.
Yeah, so they'd stack weights on it, and he would do sprints in the parking lot with that. And then, so no endurance whatsoever. Didn't run on the weekends. That's literally the only training he did. And he went and set a PR. Pretty cool. Just by building his muscles.
Yeah, gotcha.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. It was interesting. Cool. Okay, so as you can see, like most of the levels of plumbing businesses, they have cash flow problems.
Yeah.
It's like the biggest issue that people deal with. So the first step in fixing your cash flow problem is what I call in this PDF, the fair price formula, which is exactly what we walk you through in our hourly rate calculator. Because that's going to be the first step in fixing your cash flow. So if you're a plumbing business and you're low on cash flow, chances are you're not charging enough.
Right.
To figure out how much you need to charge to have cash left over is this formula. And it's not a complicated formula. It's very simple.
Yeah, and this is specifically residential service, right?
Specifically residential service. And really this is to figure your prices if you were running your business how a good residential service business is running.
Sure.
So, for example, the first part of this formula is how many available hours you have to bill out divided by 55%, right? For efficiency, gives you how many billable hours you have. So, example is if you have one guy and he works 100 hours, in reality, when you're running your service business as a flat rate business, meaning you're lumping your charges into one lump sum rather than giving an hourly rate, you have a set price for everything you do.
Sure.
So you have a set price for a toilet. You have a set price for a toilet flapper. You have a set price for a tank rebuild, right? You are only going to bill out 55% of your hours.
Mm-hmm.
So that guy who worked 100 hours, he's only going to bill out 55 of them. If you go check out my TikTok, people think that's absolutely insane.
Because they think that he'd bill out more or bill out less.
Bill out more. And the reason is because they're still charging $120 an hour. And they're charging travel time, work time, cleanup time, and then, or they're not thinking about that, right?
Mm-hmm.
So they're like, I was only there for 2 hours and I billed out 2 hours. That's 100% of my time, is what they're thinking about. When you have a business, you have employees that show up to your place of business. You need to have team meetings with them.
Sure,
You
yeah.
have training with them. They need to keep their trucks clean. They need to keep their trucks stocked. They may have to run back to the office and work on an estimate with the manager. There's all sorts of time in there that gets unbilled.
Right.
And so
Is that also talking about the time that doesn't get sold? Like, is that in that as well?
that's what it is.
Okay. Yeah,
It's basically what it is. Time that didn't get sold to the customer.
Yeah, gotcha.
So you only sell, like, national average is 50 to 60%. When you're talking residential service business who offers a flat rate model, right? They're getting calls, they're going to the customer's house, they're providing estimates, they're doing the work, and they're running a residential service business. They're only billing out 50 to 60%. At my business, we do 55.4. So 55% efficiency is a good place to start. And so once you figure that out, typically we would want you to run through this with 3 guys. And the reason being is that we talked kind of about earlier, like when you have 3 guys and you're the owner and you've pulled out of the field, you enter in the first valley of despair, right? You've got a CSR, you've got a shop, you've got a marketing budget, you've got insurance, you've got all the expenses of a 3-man shop. That's the most expensive time in your business. Right. And if you don't price properly for that time,
Sure.
you'll get there and you won't be profitable.
Yep. Or you won't ever get there.
Or you won't ever get there.
Because you'll think, there's no way I can pull out of the field. We
Yes.
barely make ends meet right now.
Yes, exactly.
If I stop working, this whole thing shuts down.
Yes, exactly. And so the way to think about that is that if there's, this hypothetical 3-man shop that can charge what you need to charge to stay in business, you should be charging that now.
Yeah, of course.
So that you can stack away cash and get there way faster.
Yeah.
Right? Rather than lowering your rate now for no reason, no apparent reason whatsoever, and just prolonging the agony until you get there.
Yeah, because, I mean, I'm trying to figure out, like, how you would get there. I guess, like, I don't know how you would get there.
You'd have to slowly raise your rates along the way.
Sure.
And you could be slightly less until you pulled out of the truck. The second you pull out of that truck,
It's just going to demolish everything.
profit disappears, right?
Yeah.
So you're going to have to be this expensive. Why not start charging it now so you can get there faster?
I've heard guys say that, like, they don't want to charge because they're worried they're not offering that level of service yet.
And
Like, to justify, because it's a justification question. It's like, I can't justify that cost to myself.
yeah,
Because I don't think I'm doing that level of service.
do that level of service. I mean, you as an owner should be able to answer your phone, book people on the schedule in a timely manner, go to their house, diagnose their problems, give them solutions, be friendly, be very nice, be very professional, do excellent quality work, back it up with a really good warranty, and really serve the customer. You should be able to do it better as a one-man owner than anybody else.
Sure,
Right?
yeah, because you're guaranteeing your work with you.
Yeah, should be easier.
Yeah,
you don't have to train anybody how to do
there's nobody
it.
else. Like,
You don't have guys screwing it up. You don't have people not wearing their uniforms. Or,
yeah, you don't have to yell at yourself to
Not-
put on your polo or your hat
Yeah.
or whatever.
Yep. So it's really simple. Like, I did it very well. It was I mean, first off, if you're getting a few calls a day, booked jobs, hire a CSR. That'll help.
Yeah, do yourself a huge favor.
That'll help you out a lot.
If you're in the position of like, oh, I think I got to hire technicians and you don't have a CSR,
Hire a CSR.
like calm
Yeah.
down. Like
Yeah.
get a CSR first.
Yes, because that'll allow you to do more work, make more money.
Yeah.
In the meantime, so what I did is I had a notebook, and I had each day had a page, and I would write my time slots on the page. So it'd be like 8 to 10, 10 to noon, noon to 2, 2 to 4. And somebody would call, and I would go to the next time slot, and I'd say, oh yeah, I got a time slot from 12 to 2. Does that sound good? And they go, yeah, that sounds great. And I say, cool, let me get your information. I'll shoot you a text message when I'm on the way, or I'll give you a call. I'll see you then. That's really good service that you can offer, right? And then when you're on your jobs, just make sure you're communicating with your customers throughout the day. Like if you're going to be late, make sure and shoot them a text real quick. Hey, I'm running late. I'm probably going to be more around this time. I'll still call you when I'm on my way. Before you're headed out there, pick up your phone, give them a call. Hey, this is Jared with Prospector Plumbing. I'm on my way out to your house right now. Should be there in about 20 minutes. If they don't answer, shoot them a text. Hey, I called, no answer. Just letting you know I'm on my way. Should be there in about 20 minutes. That's really good service.
Yep.
Show up, be put together. You don't even need a uniform. Trim your beard, like brush your beard, trim your beard, whatever you got to do. Put a nice hat on, have clean clothes that aren't huge and baggy and ripped and dirty, right? And then just be super friendly. Go knock on their door. Hey, my name is Jared with Prospector. How can I help you? Talk to the customer, relate to the customer, build rapport with the customer, listen to the customer, sympathize with the customer, find solutions to their problems, figure out the root causes of their problems, figure out how you can give them a long-term fix, work with them if you need to on their budget, perform the work like you said you were going to perform, make sure you clean up after yourself, bill the customer on the spot, make sure they don't need anything else, let them know you appreciate the work, go to the next customer. That's good service. Anybody can do that.
What
Anybody.
if those skill sets aren't like inherent to me,
Learn them.
am I screwed?
No, you can. They weren't inherent to me. You knew me back in the day.
Yeah.
My beard was like this big.
Yeah, if you go to our very first podcast, just look at the thumbnail and you can see Jared's big nasty beard.
Dude, it was nasty too.
It was a big, yeah. It was a classic. I live in the woods.
Yes.
And let my face grow hair.
When I first started my business, I had long hair. So did you at that time.
Yep.
Long hair, big, nasty, scraggly beard. I had one pair of pants, and I wore them every single day, and they were dirty, and they had ABS glue, and they had holes in the knees. And that's just how I rolled. I didn't know.
Man.
It was Alaska. I didn't know any better. When I started going to customers' houses, it was like, I actually got to present myself a little better here. When I discovered that I needed to charge more, then I really felt the need to like, okay, I actually got to clean myself up and offer better service. Yeah. So I would still wear my Vans. I still had jeans. I just make sure they weren't super dirty, no holes, no glue all over them. And I'd wear like actually would wear a navy blue Carhartt shirt because I read in a book that blue sells better than black.
Nice.
Or blue is the best selling color or something like that.
Dude, nice.
And so that's what I wear. And then I wear my Vans hat. Actually, I got some hats with my company logo on them. Is what I did.
And I mean, the point of all that is like to the guy who's like, I don't know if I can justify that price. It doesn't take a lot to quote unquote justify the price.
No.
And if you think about customer service in its current state across all industries,
It's pretty
in my experience, it's like poopy.
it's
like
pretty bad.
all over the place.
Yeah.
So if you can just raise that bar a little bit, and sometimes it's like, if you're smiling and friendly, like holy moly, like I can't tell you how many coffee shops I've gone to, and if the barista helping me with the coffee is not smiley or friendly, or they're not like engaging, like I'm like, this is like,
Dude.
it's so easy to be cold, even if you're not feeling cold. Like even if you're in a good mood and you're having a great day, but if you don't smile and have a light conversation, build that rapport.
It's the little things
100%. It's the little things.
that,
It's like,
that nobody else is doing. because they're not thinking about it.
I think they're not thinking about it. I mean, that's a whole nother like rabbit trail. I think they're probably just more focused on themselves in these moments. So they're not thinking about like, oh, my job is to like make this person feel comfortable.
Yes. And that's really the shift in your mindset you need to have. You're not there to take care of their plumbing.
Yeah.
You're there to serve them as the customer.
Yeah.
Right?
And that is the work, but the whole experience of that is what you're doing.
I would say the experience of it is the work. It's part of the work.
Yeah, sure.
It's part of your job, right?
Oh, definitely.
Like it's little things as simple as how you answer your phone.
Yeah, and I would even say like, I'm gonna push back on you just a little bit. You can tell me what you think.
Okay.
But even if you're running late for an appointment, I would say don't text, call. Like call first and then shoot a text.
Yes, I would call.
Only because like it's like you have that opportunity to be like, hey, I'm the human who's coming to your house. I'm so sorry. I'm late. I got this thing going on, whatever it is you say, and I'll be there soon.
Yep.
Like that is like, oh, dang, he called me.
Yep.
Because we get texts from everybody these days, especially from businesses.
Yep.
Like my wife made the mistake of saying, hey, we're interested in health care coverage. That was 2 weeks ago. I'm finally just replying stop to all the mass of things I've come through. So it's just a normal thing. Like every website gets all our information. We get texts. But if you call and you're like, hey, what's up? Yeah, I'll be there. A little bit late, running behind.
When you call, whenever you're on the phone, be friendly. Yeah. Like I hear people answer their phones. Hello?
Dude, I know. Me too.
You're a place of business. And I remember being this guy. I answered my phone. Hello? And they'd be like, is this J. Rod's Plumbing? And I'd be like, yeah. And they'd be like, right?
Yeah.
When I finally got over myself enough, because it's kind of a pride issue where you're like, I'm not answering my phone like, hello, Prospector Plumbing and Heating, how may I help you?
Yeah, you want to be like the cool guy or something, be like, yeah, this is J. Rod's Plumbing. What's up? How's it going? I'm cool.
Something like that. I don't know what it is.
Yeah, it is. There's a thing though. It's weird.
I didn't want to answer my phone that way, but when I started answering my phone, I would say, some people just say their business name too. It's weird. Like, J. Rod's Plumbing.
Yeah, and it's in that tone too. And like, I mean, this is a good horse to beat to death because it's like, it's your first touch point.
It's your first one.
And it is it's an easy thing to correct. I think the reason why it feels weird is because you've never done it before. Like if you're a plumber, you've never had to answer a phone in your life. That wasn't your personal phone.
Yeah.
Like I've trained people in customer service, customer care positions.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember when it was like, when I'd be like, right air service, this is Joel. How can I help? Like, it's a weird cadence, but like, and I've heard people be like, what do I say? Why do I say this? Like you're really trying to position like, I'm so happy you called.
Yeah.
Like, let me help you.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, this is like, I had so much fun in those customer care positions.
Yeah.
Because it was very easy to just get a good conversation with somebody.
Yeah.
And that is so paramount to delivering value.
So paramount.
Especially in our moment. This is low-hanging fruit. That's the beautiful part. Low-hanging fruit.
It's easy stuff to do to immediately make you more valuable than the other guy.
Yeah. And I mean, like, I call plumbing businesses every day, and I hear the answers, and I know right away what kind of business I'm about to talk to.
Yep.
You know, by answering machines, by all the cadences, even like some guys, like, I don't know, I'm sorry, but some of y'all out there got some weird phones. Like you got like the Google phone. Like the Google phone is like trying to like screen me and stuff. And I'm
really?
like, I'm like, stop. Just get an iPhone. It's okay. Like get something that is normal.
Yeah.
Like all those little barriers are just like, what's going on here?
Yeah.
Or like pass me through a phone tree.
Yep.
Like,
and here's the thing. The customer wants to know they're going to be taken care of. That is their main concern. They just want some plumber to come out to their house as soon as possible to get their plumbing fixed. And if you don't answer the phone or you answer it funny, it's like red flag in their mind right away.
And they might not even like know it's a red flag, but they'll just get a feeling.
Yes.
And those feelings are the ones that you want to guard against.
Yes.
Because like, again, if I walk into a coffee shop and I get a vibe that I'm not wanted here, I'm not coming back.
Coffee doesn't taste as good.
It doesn't. Nope. But here's the funny thing. If the vibe is great and the coffee's not as great,
Yeah.
I'm probably going to go back.
You're going to go back.
Like,
Yeah.
it's just,
It's like every coffee shop in Pensacola.
I know. We went to Makers just recently. It was pretty good. I liked it.
Oh, I hate it.
I
I hate the coffee.
The people were nice.
They were.
I liked their mugs. And I thought the coffee was good. It's different. It's not the dark roast.
Yeah, it's green. Gross.
It's that floral coffee.
Nasty. It's not man coffee. It's like woman coffee. No offense.
Why would I be offended at that? I'm a man.
Okay.
I'm a man who likes floral coffee.
Oh.
you're just covering your bases.
Yeah. Okay, so you can't add value.
Yes.
All those things.
Yes.
Answer your phone properly.
And you can practice. This isn't something that you
Practice,
have or you don't. Like,
Practice answering your phone in the mirror.
yeah.
When you go to the customer's house, practice smiling, looking them in the eye,
Yeah.
shaking their hand, and really being confident in your abilities because you are the professional. So you need to present yourself as the professional, have the confidence that you're the professional, and then the customer will believe in you as being the professional.
And you like it's in your favor because they're expecting you to be the professional.
Yes.
So like,
and they want to spend money with a professional.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
And when you're not, it's like they're like,
yeah.
is this guy like? Because from the customer's perspective, yeah, they don't know if you're going to do a good job or not. They have no idea. So everything you do up until they see that you did a good job, you're telling them whether or not you're going to do a good job, and they're trying to figure it out. And if they don't feel like you're going to do a good job, they're taking a big gamble in their mind.
Yep.
It's like the guy who did my patio in the back, pulled up in his old ratty truck, hair all over the place. He was dirty, and I was like, man, I don't know.
Yeah, I hope this goes okay.
I don't know if this is going to go good, right? I would have paid double if somebody would have showed up in a nice truck, clean cut dude, was very professional, worked up the price on an iPad or on a notepad even. I would have been like, cool, these guys are going to do a good job. I can tell just by the way they present themselves.
Yep.
I would have paid double. I just couldn't find that guy. I couldn't get anybody to answer their phone, right?
Yeah.
So,
yeah, dude, totally.
and you're totally correct. The state of good customer service in the world of plumbing business, just in construction business at all, is horrendous.
And it's one of those skill sets that you're not taught like when you're coming up in the trade.
Yeah.
Unless you end up working at a residential service shop by happenstance or whatever, and you are not just the install crew, you're the part of the sales crew or however the structure is.
Yeah.
That someone's going to teach you how to do it.
Yeah, and it's all stuff you can learn.
Oh yeah, 100%. And if people are like, I'll hear this like, well, I just don't like people. It's like, okay.
Why are you in a residential service business?
And like, if that is the thing that's holding you back from residential service, but you like the profitability aspect of it, I would say learn to like people.
Or just get over it.
Yeah, just get over it. Like fake it or something. I don't know, but you have to do something.
Yes.
Like you can't just be like, well, I don't like people, so I'm not going to do it. Because you're going to hire technicians and then you're going to tell your technicians, well, I don't do that because I don't like people. And they're going to be like, cool, this is a business where you don't have to like people. Like, it's not going to jive.
Sweet.
Like, remember, the end goal is what you're thinking about here. Building a good business.
Yep.
If I need to learn to like people and smile, the result is I'll have a good business. It's okay.
Yep.
It's a good sacrifice.
Yes, 100%. Okay. Once you find out your billable hours.
Back to where we were.
It's basically a matter of, okay, I have this many billable hours, so we're going through the valley of despair, right? Why you need a price for a three-man shop. You can because you can't offer the value. You basically find the expenses of what it would cost you to run a three-man shop in your area. Again, the calculator will help you with that. It's not super complicated. You then divide that by how many billable hours you have. So if you've got 3 guys working 2,000 hours, 6,000 total hours they're going to work, you're only going to bill out 3,300 of those hours. So you would take your expenses divided by 3,300. For most, we've helped pump people price from literally all over the United States. It's between $1 million and $1.4 million to run your business as a three-man shop. Never fails. I've never seen it less than $1 million. I think the highest I've seen it is $1.4 million. And that's literally just depending on where you are in the United States. what you're going to have to pay for your employee taxes.
Right. Sure.
Plays a role in that. Shop rent plays a role in that. Some places shop rent's super expensive. Some places it's cheap. And then what you have to pay your employees goes up and down as well.
Sure.
So like plumbers get paid less in Florida than they do in Alaska. So it's going to cost you more in Alaska, a little less in Florida. So if you know, like, okay, I can get a shop for this much, I can get employees for this much, you know, you can figure out what it's going to cost you to run this business. What that does when you run that calculation, expenses divided by billable hours, it gives you cost per billable hour. So it's usually around $3 to $3.50 cost per billable hour. And then you have to add on profit margin. What you don't want to do is just mark it up 30% for profit margin.
Like mark up your materials or what? Or mark up your
like your
rate?
cost per billable hour. So if your cost per billable hour is 300 and you were like, cool, I want 30% profit margin, and you add $90 on it and be 390, you're only like 22% profit margin. You have to divide by the opposite of what you want. So we teach to shoot for 30% markup.
Right.
That way you can have a membership plan in the future that you can discount your members 10% and still maintain 20% margin.
Sure.
And if you do get any price pushback, that gives you that 10% that you can then discount as well.
And still hit 20%.
And still hit 20%. You have to protect your profit margins at all costs. Otherwise, you're not in business, right?
Can I ask like a slightly dog-leg question?
Yeah.
When we're building our business to sell, how much difference does it make to be a 10% profit margin business versus a 20% profit margin business when you're trying to sell that?
So a business that has 10% profit margin will get a higher multiple value on their business simply because, and so you'll hear all these businesses are selling for 10x multiples, 5x multiples, you know, whatever. And it's what investors are doing is they're coming in and they're looking for, what's the word I'm looking for?
Opportunity.
They're looking for opportunity. So if you're running your business at 10% margin and they know they can run it at 20, there's an immediate opportunity. So they'll give you a higher multiple. Okay. So let's say at 10%, they give you a 10x multiple.
Sure.
Right. But at
multiple of what?
Of EBITDA, basically fancy profit margins, right? Real profit margins.
Yeah.
Profit margins minus all the owner expenses. Okay. So let's say you're doing $1 million a year and you're at 10% EBITDA. You're making 100, your business is making 100,000.
Right.
They might give you a 10x multiple for that. This is a bad scenario here.
We're just rolling with it for simple math.
We are rolling for simple math. Let's do this. Let's take up just my business, for instance. 5 million EBITDA. If we were doing 10% profit margins and we'd be making 500,000 a year, a firm might look at us and go, okay, they're making 500,000, 10% margins. We can just raise their prices or do this thing a little better, pull these certain levers. We know we can run them at 20% margin and double our money. So they might be willing to give me a 10x multiple on my 500,000.
Yeah, gotcha.
What would that be?
5 million? 500,000 times 10?
5 million. So they might be willing to give me 5 million for that business. Okay. Now let's take the same business and let's say it's doing 20% margins already. So it's doing, 1.2 million in EBITDA. Now all of a sudden they might only be willing to give me a 7 times multiple for it. Same business, just less opportunity.
Right.
Right.
Would you say less risk though?
No.
Okay.
It's just, they're just looking for opportunity.
Yeah.
So
and they're very confident that the opportunities will work.
Yeah. And so my EBITDA is over double. So I'm going to get I'm going to get less of a multiple, but I'm going to get more money at the end of the day for my business because I've already pulled the levers.
Sure.
Right. The other thing
so
is,
up until the point that you're going to sell, you'd be getting more money up until that point. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. the other, higher multiple. No, I'd be getting more money at my sale.
Okay,
right?
okay. So I would be getting more money.
If I got a 5 EBITDA, I'd be making the same on my sale as the guy who got a 10 EBITDA or 10x EBITDA with a lower margin, right?
Right, because, gotcha. Right, because the EBITDA is going to be lower.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
So less, like a smaller multiple, but a higher EBITDA.
Yes.
This is going to equal more money for you.
Higher sale price, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Gotcha. So there's less opportunity for the person buying the business to pull the levers to increase profit.
So therefore, give you a lower multiple.
But you're going to get more money because you're doing higher in EBITDA.
They don't have to come in and pull the levers.
Yeah, sure.
Right? So there's also market in there as well.
Of course.
So like my business is in Fairbanks, Alaska, small market. We've pretty much capitalized it. It's going to be tough to grow it past where it is.
Mm-hmm.
Like they're not going to be able to double the size of the company in the market we're in. It's just not going to happen. They're going to pay less because there's less opportunity, right? Mm-hmm. If there's a business that's in a big hot market with a huge need,
mm-hmm.
they're going to be willing to pay more because they know they can scoop that business up, double the size, and all of a sudden they've doubled the profit margins.
Right. Yep.
Right. A business who is in a big market and they have low margins, and this company knows they can come in, fix the margins right away, and then go in and double it, they're going to pay you a better EBITDA. Mm-hmm. Like people are like, that's how they're thinking about this.
Or better multiple.
Better multiple, yeah. Mm-hmm. They're looking for opportunity.
Yeah, right? Sure.
And the more opportunity, the higher the EBITDA.
Which can bring us back to like, again, if you're looking for, if you need more reasons to run a profitable business, then
if you want to maximize the sale of your business, which this is something everybody should think about. If you're in a small market, but 30 miles away is a much bigger market, if you just build your business 30 miles away, when you go to sell the thing, you're going to make more money.
Right.
Because you're in a better market.
And that's like that should be your long-term strategy. Even if you're like, I'm going to keep it in the family. I'm going to do all these grand things with it. But still keep it in mind that you might just want to sell it too.
But what if your family doesn't want it?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Or what if your plans fall through, but if you never position yourself to sell it, now that's not an option anymore.
Here's the other thing. If you get really good at running plumbing businesses, let's say you're just really good at this, and you grow a business to $1 million in EBITDA, and somebody's willing to give you $7 million for it, that business is paying you $1 million a year. But if you sell it and get $7 million, you can go buy 2 more smaller businesses, grow them to $1 million in EBITDA, still have millions of dollars in your bank account, and now be making $2 million. So you can start to trade up, right? By thinking of selling your business and buying 2 more.
Right.
Or maybe you buy one in an even bigger market that you can then sell for more, right? Even if you just go buy 1 more, think about that. And you grow it to the point where it can do $1 million EBITDA. Now you can sell that one for $7 million. Now you've made $14 million, right? That's kind of the way that people need to be thinking.
Right.
Rather than starting a business and holding on to it forever.
Right.
Right. Mm-hmm. Not that that's wrong. Like if you want to hand it off to your kids, that's cool. But I'd rather hand off 14 million than hand off a business that spits out $1 million every year.
Right.
I'd rather hand off 14 million and give them the skill set to be able to go invest that wisely by buying more plumbing businesses.
Right. Sure.
And growing those to a point where you can then generate another $7 million, right?
Yeah, and maybe think about this. Instead of giving your kids your plumbing business, why not give them the skill set of knowing how to run businesses?
Yes.
By the example that you said, like that's a way more high value skill set than just giving them your plumbing business.
Yep.
And then they can go do whatever they want with that.
Yep.
Like if you can effectively demonstrate to your kids, hey, I can run a business well.
Yep.
I can help teach you this. And if your kid's smart, he'll be like, dang, that's awesome. Yeah, let's do that.
Let's do it.
Like I can tell
it's
you all
way
the
better
things
than
I know.
college.
Oh yeah, way better.
Way better.
Yeah, way better. And way more fun too.
And like I mean, you can keep going with that. And it depends on how like,
Sure, it depends on what your personal goals, your why is.
it really depends on what you want as a person for your life, which I would say is a valuable exercise that you should sit down and do.
Yeah, probably like
what do I actually want out of life? What do I enjoy doing? How much money do I actually need? What do I actually care about? What is gonna like? I posed this question to you the other day, like on your deathbed. So you're 85 and you're on your deathbed. You know you're about to die. Looking back on your life, what are you gonna say? What's gonna have had to happen in your life for you to say, I lived a really good, fulfilling life? What is that? Those are the things you should be going after, in my opinion.
And I think it's helpful to like run that exercise. Like, don't just like set it like, okay, I'm going to start my business. I got my why, and then never think about it. Cause you're going to want to think about it again.
It's constant.
Yeah. Well, cause you have to, one, affirm that what you're actually shooting for makes sense.
Yeah.
Because you might think like, Jared, all I want is $1 million in cash flow so I can do all these cool, extravagant things.
Yeah.
And then you're like, cool. And then I get halfway there and I'm like, damn, I don't care about any of that. I care about more time with my family, and I don't need $1 million for that. I need 300,000 for that.
Yeah.
And then suddenly it shifts.
That'll change your game plan.
Change my game plan.
Yep.
So it's just so important to create headspace and time to evaluate that. So you don't just get stuck in this cycle of work that isn't actually giving you the thing that you want.
Yep.
Even if you're making a ton of cash.
Yep.
Like, and it's different for everybody.
Yep.
But at the end of the day, if you own a plumbing business, you should be doing it in a certain way.
Yes, regardless.
Yep. Because to do otherwise would just be a waste of your talent and your resources that you currently have.
Yep. Here's the thing that I've been thinking about a lot lately. I was just rewriting. I've reread some ads and junk for our coaching program, and I was rewriting the VSL.
The video sales letter.
The video sales letter, which is so funny. And
yeah, it's like the video mailer.
Yeah. And because the reason is like the ads we've been putting out are like, hey, our company Wealthy Plumber will help you do basically these things, right?
Yeah.
We're going to help you fix your pricing. We're going to help you fix your marketing. We're going to show you how to grow and scale and put systems in place. That's all fine and dandy, right? But we've been pitching it in a way where it's like, this is what I did in my business. And so if you do it in your business, it's going to help. And the pushback we get is, well, how do I know it's going to work for my business? And so I've been trying to think about this from a different manner, because this didn't work just for my business.
Yeah. And it's not
the things in this PDF, the hourly rate calculator, everything in our course is nothing. It's nothing new under the sun, right? It's literally the system that everybody follows to have successful plumbing businesses. It's the same across the board. I was just rewriting that, and I came up with I think it's a good analogy. It's like somebody giving you a recipe. It's the recipe for plumbing business success, right? And you can substitute stuff in the recipe, and you can try and bake it for shorter amounts of time.
Right, you're doing a different order or whatever.
Different order or different temperature. And when you do that, you're going to get subpar results.
Right.
But if you just follow the damn recipe, right?
Yeah.
Like chances are you're going to have a pretty good end product. Yeah. Like if you're baking a pie and you follow the recipe to a T,
right?
Typically when you pull that pie out of the oven, it's going to be a damn good apple pie. It's like how it turned into an apple pie. I'm dreaming now.
Yeah. Oh man, podcasting while hungry. You better watch out.
I love apple pie. So your business is no different. There's literally a recipe that plumbing businesses have been using for the last 30 years or more.
Probably more.
Kind of. It's
I suppose
shifted.
I suppose flat rate is a Would you say flat rate's a relatively newer
but it's been
introduction?
around for
Sure.
20, 30 years.
And
right?
maybe if it wasn't there, it was there in like definition. Perhaps it was there in spirit in certain ways.
Sure. Well, it's when it used to cost less to run a business, right? You think about it, the cost of running a business compared to people's wages. The cost of running a business has gone through the roof,
Right.
and their wages have barely increased.
Right.
So plumbing seems way more expensive because it costs more to run a business now. So we've had to develop tactics to to boil it down to something that the customer understands.
Yeah, sure.
It's basically what you're doing.
Right.
And that's been around for a while. And it's literally a recipe.
Yeah.
That if you follow the recipe, you'll have a successful plumbing business. It's literally that simple.
That's a good way to put it, because within a recipe, my wife's been making a lot of sourdough bread.
Yeah.
And there's ways to do it, especially with this particular flour we're using, where you have to do it a certain way to make it work.
Yeah.
And part of that is waiting.
Yes.
And so a recipe is a good example, because guys will be impatient.
Yeah, that's why
And
it's why I can't bake bread.
Yeah.
It always turns out gooey because I don't let it rise enough.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And that's true for your business. Where sometimes there's moments of waiting.
Yep.
And what waiting means is you're just doing the thing enough times.
Yep.
So your pricing's good. Your marketing is starting to do something. Now just do some work for a while.
Yep.
Let's calm down.
Yep.
Don't go get service tightened and hire 4 technicians, another CR and an office manager. Like, stop. Don't do that. Just do some work for a while.
Yep.
And a recipe puts that in well, because if you don't wait for the bread to rise, you get weird bread.
Yes.
That, if we're going to go back to the selling your business model, nobody's going to want to buy that bread because you didn't follow the recipe.
Nobody wants to eat that stuff.
Yeah, no, they don't.
Yeah.
So I think a recipe is a pretty good analogy for the structure
Yes.
and the process.
Yes. And it's a very well proven recipe. It's not like somebody just came up with this recipe yesterday and they're like, try this bread that I baked once. The recipe worked out once.
Yeah.
It's like somebody has done this recipe and baked this bread 10,000 times over. And they're like, here's this recipe. It's been used 10,000 times, and every single time, or 98% of the time, has turned out a really beautiful loaf of bread.
Yep.
You'd be like, dang, your hopes and chances of baking a really good loaf of bread would be really high.
Yeah. If you can just have the discipline to follow the recipe.
Yes. That's what all this is like. It's like having the recipe.
Sure. Yeah.
It's nothing I came up with. It's just stuff that I learned.
Yep. And
that
then
other businesses are doing. And I took their recipe and I put it in my business. And I was like, dang,
this
stuff-
recipe's awesome.
this recipe works very well. And then I started meeting other people who have followed the recipe as well. And you start seeing other businesses. You start being able to recognize other businesses following the same recipe. And you come to find out, oh, there's just a way to run a plumbing business.
Yep.
Like another way to think about it is this is an analogy I thought of today, maybe not as good a one, but like a CPA goes to college, right, to get their degree in accounting so that when they get that degree, they can go get a job as an accountant.
Yeah, sure.
And it's the learning, the getting the degree, the learning how to be a CPA that allows them to be an accountant. That degree is pretty much the same across the board for every single CPA, right? They go to college, they learn the CPA degree stuff, and then they can go be an accountant.
Right.
It's the same thing with your plumbing business. You go learn plumbing business college, plumbing business degree, and then you take that degree, that's what's in this PDF, that's what's in our course, and then you can go have a successful plumbing business. Without the degree, it's going to be really hard.
Yeah, because like I'm trying to think about like taking that CPA example without going to college. Like if I was like, hey, Jared, but like it's tough because
They could learn it.
yeah, you could, because I'm trying to match like what happens with the plumbing business owner is where they know the CPA skills,
Yeah.
but they don't know how to deploy it in a way that is business related, right?
They don't even know the skills.
Yeah, well,
Like,
they know
there's-
like the work side.
They know plumbing, but they have no idea about business.
Maybe it's like this.
right?
I'm a CPA. I know how to use QuickBooks in a computer.
Yeah.
Like I know how to access those things, but I don't know what a CPA does. I'm just trying to make this analogy go. I'm just trying really
I thought it was
hard.
going pretty good
Yeah.
before, but whatever.
Well, I'm just trying to improve upon it.
Okay. So you add profit margin, you need to divide by the opposite of what you want. So if you want 30%, divide by 0.7. 40% divide by 0.6.
Yeah.
On and on and on.
Yeah, and that's how you conduct.
That'll give you your true profit margin.
Yes.
So the leftover is actually 30% of the total that you charged, right? Okay.
It's a hard concept.
It kind of is. It's hard to think about. It's hard to talk about.
I think the language isn't equipped. Like markup is a confusing language.
Yeah, super important. I could never get business to work without this one key thing. Like it's the most important part. If you don't have that part figured out, everything else is so much more difficult.
Yeah.
You can't afford to make mistakes if you don't have that part figured out.
Yeah, the profit margin part.
Yeah.
Yeah, because otherwise then you're just doing business at cost.
You're doing business at cost, and every mistake you make costs you money. And if you're not making money, where's that money come from?
Yeah, that's like when we were talking about it last time. Like if you're running your household budget with a $0 margin, we could say,
Yep.
that's a really crappy budget because you're not going to hit it.
Yep.
I don't hit it.
Correctamundo. Exactamundo.
Dude, yeah.
Okay, we already talked about breakpoints a little bit, so I'm going to skip through that section. Breakpoints, valley of despair. Customer acquisition problem, I'm going to skip through.
Yeah, that's its own thing.
What it boils down to is like when you're first starting out, you need to do what's called guerrilla marketing. We cover some tactics in this PDF, so grab it if you want it. And then what it really boils down to is like once the guerrilla marketing is taking off enough, you should really be, and like my brother, he calls it boots on the ground marketing because that's what it is. You're like putting in the effort yourself rather than some online thing putting in effort for you, right? So it's really cost effective, but it takes a lot of your energy. And at times it's not as effective, right? So you need to do that stuff with the idea of, I'm already priced right. I'm going to go do this guerrilla marketing. And that's going to help. Like you're going to start getting word of mouth going. But then at some point in time, you need to switch to like getting online marketing going. Anybody who starts should go get a Google My Business profile. Okay, if you did this one thing, it would help you out. Go get a Google My Business profile. Get it verified. So there's a few different methods Google uses to verify. They'll send you a postcard. Sometimes you just got to shoot a video of yourself in front of the address where your business is, whether that's your home or an office. And then once it's verified, again, clean yourself up. Even if it's just a company hat with your logo on it and a Carhartt t-shirt, put your van behind you and get a really good picture of yourself smiling and put it on your Google My Business. It'll help you a lot. And then go call all of your friends, all of your family, and every single person you know, and ask them to go leave you a 5-star review. That will help you out a ton as well. And then if you can get Google Guaranteed, that's a good, easy way for guys to sign up online and just get some marketing going.
Sure.
Get some calls coming in because they're typically usually pretty cheap.
Make sure when you do that Google guarantee, don't take any pictures of your work. Don't put your work on there.
Google Guaranteed.
Or excuse me, on your GMB profile.
Well, you can do it on both, but yeah, don't take pictures of your work. Literally put pictures of you smiling.
Yeah.
Or you with customers smiling.
Because I know what you do. You're a plumber, and I don't need to see like the stuff.
People don't want to see it. No. Not at all.
It doesn't give me any context for what type of business you are.
No.
Like,
but you see a handsome young man who's clean cut smiling. You're like, oh, this guy seems nice.
Yeah, and like plumbing is typically in the business name, so I'm like, I understand.
Yes.
Like, I know what's going to happen.
Dude, that's another thing that, I've been running into quite a bit here is if you don't have plumbing in your name, or even if you want to specialize in something like water heaters or drains, or maybe most of your calls are water heaters and drains, so you want to make sure that your customers understand that's what you do. On your GMB for your business name, put your business name water heater and drains. Or if your business name doesn't have plumbing, put business name plumbing and drains, or something like that, so that the customer knows exactly what you do. Otherwise, you're going to get calls from people that you don't want to service.
Yeah, or you'll get missed calls from people who don't know that you do it.
People will look at your profile and not understand you're a plumber, and they'll call somebody else.
Yeah.
So, super important. So at some point in time, you're going to need to get online marketing. And the whole gist is basically you can't do it yourself, right? Aside from like getting your GMB going and getting GLSA ads going, it's pretty tough to do the rest yourself.
What if I got like a cousin who's really good at it?
I mean, if you're just starting out and you literally don't have the money to hire a marketing company, and you have a cousin that wants you to build you a website for pennies on the dollar, yeah, go for it. Like, why not? If you could go on 99 Designs and get a logo, a lot of times you can get a website built on there for $500.
Sure.
Then you can take that and you can get a Facebook header made, and you can go get a Facebook account, an Instagram account, and all that stuff. You'll be a leg ahead.
Yeah, sure.
Right? But at some point in time, you're going to want to hire a real marketing company that has a history of success with plumbing businesses. And I kind of go over that in here, like what you want out of your marketing company. And then in that, there's some things that you don't want.
Yeah, sure.
So it'll save you some headache. A lot of guys get involved with marketing companies that want to own their website or own their domain or own their Facebook or own their GMB or own their GLSA ads, and then they end up underperforming, and they can't. When they leave, they have to give up all those things and start over from scratch. And you don't want to be in that position. There's also a marketing checklist in there of what your marketing company should be handling. That's super important. And then we get into like topic of marketing budget. This is a good topic. It's a confusing one for most people, right? I should have got into like how to measure your marketing. So let's talk about marketing budget, and then we'll go into how to measure it. So typically what it is for plumbing business, it's like 10% of your projected revenue for the year should be what you budget for marketing. So if you're a 3-man shop and you're charging $400 to $500 an hour, you should be able to bill out close to $1.5 million in revenue, which means your marketing budget, the amount you spend on marketing, should be close to $150,000 a year. And that should be like your actual ad spend budget.
Right, sure.
What you're paying your marketing company, like the retainer for your marketing company, you shouldn't include in that. In those beginning stages of your business, like there'd be 2 reasons to spend more than that. If you're in a competitive market,
Sure.
you may have to go to 12 or 15% because your lead costs are just higher.
Sure.
When you're in a competitive market, there's only so much call volume. But if there's a lot of people eyeing for that call volume, you just have to be willing to pay more than the other guys for the calls. You have to work that marketing budget into your hourly rate so that it's covered when you're billing the customer.
Yeah, because you're not doing that for free.
No.
Or out of your profit. But you still need the calls.
Correct. So the other reason you may need to go on a higher budget is maybe you're growing. Maybe you want to grow at a faster rate. And so you need to go to 12%. Like a lot of times when you're small, because you're dealing with such small revenue numbers, you need to bump up the percentage that you're willing to spend on marketing to hit those bigger revenue numbers. The other thing to watch out for is when you're doing marketing, don't measure. You can measure your marketing by ad source, But always think of your marketing as like if you have 10 different things you're spending money on, right? I would measure it this way for my sanity. I would say I spent 10 grand on all 10 of those things, maybe, right? And I got this many bookable phone calls.
Sure.
So out of all the phone calls I got, I booked, maybe I got 100 phone calls and I booked 60 of them. 10 of them we just missed booking. We dropped the ball on or we didn't answer our phone or something. And then the other, what did I say first? 60, 70?
60, you said 60.
So the other 30 phone calls were just phone calls calling to pay their bill or phone calls, they were looking for an electrician, just unbookable jobs, right?
Truly unbookable, not
Truly
they're looking
unbookable.
for another company or something like that.
They're looking for another company, see if you can book them on your schedule.
They called you.
That'd be a bookable job, I would think. So figure out how many bookable jobs you have and go, okay, I spent 10 grand on marketing. I had 70 bookable jobs. Then it cost me this much to book a job. 10 grand divided by 70. Again, math, don't know what that is. That's my cost per booked job. Okay. That's how I would look at it. Now, out of that, you could go back and look and be like, okay, pay-per-click ads, they got me 3 booked jobs and I spent 3 grand on it. That doesn't seem like it's worth doing, right?
It's pretty expensive.
Right. So some people will shut that off.
Sure.
I would not. And the reason is you don't know where these customers are coming from.
Yeah, sure. So the point is like, yeah, pay-per-click seems really expensive, but you still got enough jobs. Like you got the job that you needed to get.
Yeah.
And you hit your numbers.
Yep.
And everybody was busy.
Yep.
And so.
And if you don't, you need to ask yourself why.
Sure.
Reverse engineer that process.
Yeah. And sometimes it's not just in your ad spend or your marketing company. Sometimes it's you didn't answer your phone well, or when you did answer your phone, you booked the jobs for whatever reason. Like there's other things.
Or you just didn't answer your phone. Or you got a bunch of after hours calls and you just need to get an after hours answering service to answer your calls.
Yeah. Like there is scenarios where it is the marketing company's fault.
Yeah.
But there's also there's a bunch of other factors at play as well.
Yes.
But anyway, okay, so you were talking about it's not. Don't turn your pay-per-click off just because it seems quote unquote too expensive.
Yeah, or your Facebook ads or your GLSA or whatever.
Yeah, because you can't track the user's entire experience and up until they booked a job with you.
Up until they call you.
Yeah.
You can see where the call source was from.
Yes, like the step right before they arrived at your door.
Yes, but you have no idea truly where that customer came from.
Yeah, you can see that they arrived to your house in the Google pay-per-click car, but you don't know how many buses they took through the whatever train that they finally got there.
Yes, so a good example of that would be, let's say you're spending on Facebook ads. And you spent $1,000 and got 1 phone call, right? And you would say, man, I'm spending $1,000. That's not worth 1 phone call. But you have no idea if the guy who called you from Google Local Service saw your Facebook ad,
right?
Saw your van running around town, saw you on somewhere.
Yeah.
Maybe he was looking for a plumber. He went to your website. You hit him with your retargeting ads. And then he looked you up, saw your Google Local Service ad, and then called you from there. You have no clue, right?
Yep.
And that's why you don't want to rely on just one source.
Sure.
Because you want to be showing up where these people are at. You want them to constantly see you and know who you are. And it takes, I think, the typical marketing touch points is it takes 7 touch points before that person recognizes who you are. And the more touch points you get, the more likely they are to buy you.
Right.
Or buy from you, right? When they need you. So it'd be a mistake to go, I probably shouldn't spend on Facebook ads because I only got 1 call from it.
And if I add that money to Google, I'm going to get more calls.
Right.
Because that's typically the calculation is like, it's not, I want to spend less money. It's like, I just want to put this money over there.
Yes. But it's a system. And so I would, whenever you're wanting to spend more money, I would work with the marketing company to figure out where's the best place to put this money. And they'll go look at the stats with you, and you can try stuff and see if it gets the result that you want, and then go from there. One important part, though, is you need to be willing to spend on brand awareness.
Yeah, definitely.
Especially today, especially right now. Brand awareness, community involvement,
Sure.
better creative. And what I mean by that is like your Facebook posts can no longer be a generic photo of Frank that you pulled off of Canva, the plumber dude.
Everybody knows Frank the plumber dude. He's
If
got
you-
black hair. He's got a good smile.
He's got blue overalls and a blue hat, and he's got a little patch, I believe you can put your logo in. And he's literally on every single plumber's social media and website. It's ridiculous.
Yep.
I call him Frank,
Yep,
my
we
buddy
all know
Frank.
Yep. Very popular in the plumbing space.
Yes. Putting him on your social media with really bland colors and, hey, we're your local plumbing company. That doesn't work today.
Right.
It doesn't work. You have to be willing to put out content that will grab people's attention, give them some value, and let them know who you are. So it has to be wild enough to grab their attention, to get them to stop scrolling, right? Memes are really good for that.
And to just consider, like, what am I even looking at right now?
What am I? And then this is why we like memes. If you go look at our Facebook, it's 99% memes.
Yep.
And the reason is because it stops the scroll, and it provides them value in the form of entertainment, makes them laugh, and then they see our logo. So we didn't just stop the scroll and just give them something terrible.
Right.
I mean, maybe they think some of our memes are terrible, but whatever.
That's okay.
And then they see your logo and they're like, I hate this company. This is terrible content. They're like, this is funny. I like this company. They get to know who you are.
Yep.
The generic crap is,
They're never going to stop.
there's too much of it out there.
The only people who stop are like guys like me who are like, I wonder what this generic
What
company
kind of
is
generic
saying.
crap is
Yeah.
this?
Oh, well, because I like the look. I wonder what the generic trend is right now.
Yeah.
And it's usually like it's usually an infographic that is built by a graphic designer who's just trying to follow design principles and design school stuff to say, don't put this in your garbage disposal.
Yep.
Which is like informative, but it only makes me stop because I'm looking for a certain thing.
Yeah.
And what I'm looking for is like, I wonder what the generic trend is right now so that I can do the opposite.
If you really want to put something in your, or educate the customer about putting something in your garbage disposal, do it through a meme
Yes.
or do it through a very well edited video
Yes.
that has a hook line, and a sinker.
Yeah. Like if you want to lean into that way, then you have to be clever about how you do it.
Yes.
Or else it's just like,
You're just in there with the rest of them.
yeah, you're like pretending you're doing something, but you're not doing something.
Yes. Nobody cares.
And then I would also say, if you're on Facebook and you're not putting money behind your posts,
Yeah.
then it's like, well, now you're really just putting stuff out there for no reason.
That's one that a lot of people don't understand is is how Facebook and Instagram and TikTok works. And they're like those things when you post on there, it's not just going to people in your community. People who they see it all over the world. So if I was to go put out a TikTok video of my plumbing on TikTok and it got 1 million views, how many people are in my local area going to see that? Probably not very many, right? Versus if I go spend some money behind a post on Facebook,
You build your audience.
I can target my local audience. I can target homeowners in my area, and they'll all see it for a couple bucks.
Yeah, and it's not very expensive.
No,
to
it's
get
not.
a lot of people to consistently see your stuff.
We spend $2,500. How many people see prospectors' stuff?
They're going to see your content 11 times per month.
11 times per
Everybody
month.
in your audience that we target going to see it 11 times per
And
month.
that's like 23,000 people.
Yeah.
see our content 11 times per month.
Yeah. And then when you combine it to like the content's silly, it's going to be somewhat memorable. And then you combine it with van wraps and then any other picture creatives that you have that are coming through even on your GMB profile.
Yep.
Like all these things start to create this whole cadence of, oh, I'm seeing this company.
Yep.
Like we got one company in our program, and I remember they started posting all these just like we do, like all their memes. And like the guy was just like, Nate, his name is Nate. And he was like, everybody, they like, I see your stuff everywhere.
Yeah.
And it's funny because like he wasn't quote unquote everywhere, but he was just very active on social media.
Yep.
And he had like a van wrap and he was driving around town. Yep. But the perception was, oh my gosh, you're everywhere.
Social media is the most underrated marketing platform right now.
And guys don't want to do it because they don't see that direct ROI.
Right.
And so they're scared because they say, well, if I put money in it, but I can't track exactly how much I'm getting back from it, it's not worth it.
Yep.
And that is it's overestimating the fact that you actually know why the customer chose you.
Yes.
Like you just, like we were talking about, you just know that they Googled you and got you.
Yeah.
Like it might have been weeks of social media that got them to Google you and get you.
The reality is like when a customer Googles a plumber now, they have a ton of options.
Yes.
And so they have a ton of options. And so you need to be proactive to get to that customer before they get to all the options to let them know that you're the best option.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't, they're going to pick from 100 different people. Mm-hmm. But if you do, and they Google plumber and you show up, they're going to be like, oh, I remember these guys.
Yeah. And I mean, and if
funny memes, they seem like a cool company.
Yep. And if they see your face and your logo, like I'm the guy who searches on maps, but when you search on maps, you see a list of all the things. And the thing that I first see is I see photos.
Yeah.
Like my eyes go to the photos.
Yep.
And what I see is usually no photo because guys don't put photos up.
Yeah.
And so it's just blank. But if I saw a face and a logo, then I could connect that to, oh, that's the thing I've already been seeing.
Yep.
I'm more apt to choose that than I am to choose all the nameless, faceless kind of things.
Yep. Correctamundo.
Yeah.
Okay. Social media, it's completely underrated.
Yes. And
it's so easy to do.
Yeah, I mean, really just requires like a little bit of Canva skill. And you can do tons of stuff. Canva's easy.
Canva's free.
Yep, it's
Super
free and easy.
If you get in our course, which we have a course for plumbing business owners who want to do better, they want the recipe. We give you the Facebook recipe as well. We actually give you the content pre-made.
Yes, you just got to like slap your logo
company
in there and then...
Yep. And then go schedule it out. We teach you how to do the whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
Easy peasy. How to create the Facebook audience, how to post your stuff in all the spots.
Mm-hmm.
Easy peasy. So go buy our course.
Shameless plug.
Bam. Yeah. Cool. Next step. You fixed your cash flow issue by raising your prices. You've got marketing going. Now it's fix your cash flow issue part 2. There's 2 more steps to fixing your cash flow. Like raising your prices is just the first part.
Sure.
If you raise your prices and you continue to grow your business and you don't do these next 2 steps, you're going to run into cash flow issues again, even at a higher price. Okay.
Sure.
So there's 2 parts to it. The first part is just offering options.
Mm-hmm.
So you want to go, flat rate pricing, and then you want to offer options. So in a good, better, best scenario. So the example I use in this book or PDF or whatever you want to call it,
Magnum opus.
my magnum opus is like replace flapper is good, right? So remove old flapper, install new flapper. Better would be toilet tank rebuild. So instead of just doing the flapper, you do the whole tank. The best would be new toilet. And then always make a recommendation to the customer. An honest recommendation.
Yeah, sure.
Like, hey, Miss Jones, if I was you, company shirt aside, I feel like we covered this on our last podcast.
Mm-hmm. Yep, we did.
Company shirt aside, I would do this one. Here's why. Okay? Important stuff. And we'll go over the sales process if we get to it. We'll go more into that.
Yep.
So start offering options, good, better, best. And you can think of as, repair, replace, or repair, replace, upgrade.
Mm-hmm.
You can also think of it as like repair, replace, or get to the root cause of the problem.
Right.
That kind of thing. And that just offers price perspective, and it gives the customer the choice of how they spend their money.
Right.
So Joe Cesaro puts it, if you're not offering options, you're offering ultimatums.
Right.
So if you go into the house and you're like, flapper's bad, it's $580. That's an ultimatum.
Mm-hmm.
If you go in and say, here's your different options, here's the price point on those options, I would probably do this one if I was you, based on the questions that I asked you earlier. What do you want to go forward with? Now it's a choice.
Yep.
Right. Puts the customer in a much better spot. That's good customer service.
Yep.
Okay. Raising average ticket 2 boils down to lifetime value. And I love seeing the visuals on lifetime value. It made me, and in fact, when I was drawing this, it made me realize something about lifetime value that I didn't understand. I kind of knew, but I'd never seen it drawn out.
Sure.
So it was powerful to see it drawn out how it was. Basically, if you can, lifetime value is how many times a customer is going to use your services over the next, how long they continue to be your customer.
Sure.
So the typical thing that plumbers are doing is they're getting a phone call, they're driving to the house, they're billing the customer, and then they're never talking to that customer again. So if you spend $200 on marketing, you go to the house, you bill the customer $500, lifetime value of the customer is $500. But if you enroll that customer in a membership program, if you do such an amazing job that they're like, I'm calling these guys forever.
Right.
If you continue to communicate with them through emails and calling them, outbound dialing them when you're slow, you then be able to hold on to those customers for longer amounts of time.
Right.
So in the example here, you spend $200 on marketing spend.
Right.
And then you serve the customer every year for 7 years, and they're spending $500 a year. In a couple of years, they spend $1,200. You just turn that $200 marketing spend into $4,900 instead of $500.
Yep.
Way bigger ROI.
Yep.
And this is the stuff that people aren't thinking about when they're spending, $400 a call on Google. They're going, I'm going to go to their house, and my hourly rate is only $500. I'm only going to make $100.
Right.
That's a bad example. Number one, you should be using your average ticket.
Right. Yeah.
So
not your just.
If your average ticket is $1,500 and you spend $400 on a call, not as bad, right? If you use lifetime value, all of a sudden, I spent $400 on a Google call, but that customer I made $4,900 over with. That's a good return, right?
Yep.
So it makes you think about your marketing differently, which is how you need to think about it.
Sure.
You need to think long-term, not short-term.
Yeah, you got to think about here's my cost of acquisition versus how much money do I typically make off of a customer.
Yes. Invest now for return later.
Yes.
Okay. The other cool part about that is if you think about it in a sense of growth, like a growth path, right? If you're spending $90,000 a year on marketing and you're getting 500 new customers and you're serving them one time, then the next year, year 2, you have to spend another $9,000 to get 500 new customers that you're only going to bill one time. And you have to do that every year.
Right.
Every single year. Right? Now, chances of that happening are slim, but for the sake of the seeing it that way, we'll say none of them use you again. And every year you have to spend the same amount of marketing to get the same amount of customers, to do the same amount of work, to make the same amount of money. And if you wanted to double your business, the only way to double it is to double your marketing budget.
Sure.
Right? So think about it this way. Let's say typical customer uses you for 7 years. Now, all of a sudden, if you spend $90,000 and get 500 customers, right? Year 1, you get 500 customers, but then year 2, those customers use you again.
Yep.
So you already have 500 customers.
Yep. They don't go away.
They don't go away. And you spend another $90,000 to get another 500 customers. You've just doubled the size of your business with the same marketing spend.
Yep. Because you were able to retain those customers.
Yes. So year 2, you doubled your business. Year 3, you go spend another 90 grand. Your 1 customers and your 2 customers are still with you.
Right.
So you've got 200, you got 1,000 customers you can serve. I had to look at my paper. I'm like, what?
And you're looking at your fingers. You're like, there's 2 here.
What, son? So year 3, now all of a sudden you get another 500 customers. You have tripled the size of your business without having to raise your ad spend.
Right.
Basically, right? Now, it doesn't work as perfect as that.
Sure, because you're going to have churn. You're going to have all these things that happen.
Like the above example, like the top example of 90 grand every year, getting the same amount of customers, there are customers that are just going to reuse you naturally,
Yes.
right? Yep. And then the other example of all of them following you to the next year, that's unlikely.
Sure.
But if the difference is 10% of them follow you versus half of them follow you, that makes a big difference in your growth for your business.
Sure. For sure.
So just figuring out how to hold on to your customers longer can really make a tremendous difference in the rate at which you can grow your business.
Sure.
That's the part I thought was cool. Can you tell?
I can't tell.
I got excited.
I know.
Okay. That's basically lifetime value in a nutshell. I explained a little more in there. Raising that, it boils down to creating really happy customers.
Sure.
That's the best way. If you can create the book Raving Fans, if you can create raving fans, then they're going to be raving fans, and they're going to keep using you as long as you keep them as raving fans. So the better service you provide, the better job you can do for your customers, the longer they're going to continue to use you. The second part of that would be getting them signed up for a membership program. That's going to help your customer retention because they're going to go, I'm a member with these guys, and they're going to naturally call you again.
Okay? I get a discount. I'm already paying a thing.
That's the power of memberships.
Yes. Would you say the power of memberships lies much more in, not so much, they pay you a monthly chunk, but it's much more like you're going to do work for them again next year and you don't have to acquire them. Like they're already acquired. Yeah, they're paying you a monthly fee or whatever your structure is. But really, you already paid to acquire them, and they're going to stick with you.
That's probably the best part.
Yeah.
Second best part is the extra cash they create.
Depending on how you structure
your membership. And the third benefit is that it raises your, like we were talking about selling your business.
Sure.
If you have a ton of members that are paying you, right, then to somebody who's going to come buy you, that's a really good sign. That means you've been doing a good enough job to retain that many people willing to pay you a monthly fee or a yearly fee just to get certain perks. That's a good, so it raises the multiple you're going to get on your EBITDA.
Gotcha.
So you're going to make more money if you ever go to sell.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So it's good on 3 fronts. So it's pretty killer. It's so funny because I did that TikTok video on, well, went out everywhere, but on TikTok specifically,
of course,
you got a ton of hate. And it's like everybody's like, no plumbing business is selling memberships. No homeowners are spending money on a plumbing membership.
Yeah.
It is funny because they are.
Yeah.
They're doing it a lot. Man, section 5, attracting top talent.
And that's its own podcast right there.
Dude, huge podcast. Really boils down to like top talent. Like if you can have good employees, makes a huge difference. Like employees who are bought into showing up to work, they want to work hard, they want to do a good job, and they're talented and they can fix stuff.
Right.
Yeah,
right.
Huge difference. Somebody who's got a good attitude versus somebody who has a bad attitude.
Big difference.
Huge difference. So it boils down to like, how do you attract these people to your customer or to your business, right? How do you attract them? And it starts with like, you have to mitigate the risk. So if you're a new plumbing business, you have to mitigate what they perceive as the risk of coming to work for you, which is you just started your business.
Yeah. Who's to say you're going to be here next week?
Yeah. So you have to sell them on your vision, right? Have to be willing to pay them more because they probably they're a good plumber. They got a cush job at some plumbing company making good money. And you're asking them to leave that. So you got to give them a better opportunity. And then once you get bigger, I believe that your culture will trump all of that.
Oh yeah.
So if you have a really good culture and you're known for your culture, I think that will trump paying more. That will trump a lot.
Yeah, because it's culture is going to come to how does that guy feel about work when he's at work? And if he feels like, hey, I'm having a good time here,
Yes.
that's going to keep him there. Because if I say,
Yes.
if he says, oh, if I go over there, I might make $20K more per year, but I've heard what guys say about that shop and it sounds awful.
Yeah.
Like I'm not trying to deal with that. Or I don't want to go work with that dude.
Yeah.
That dude's a pain in the ass. Everybody knows that.
Yep.
Like I'm good where I'm at.
Yep. Exactly.
And also, I can go talk to my boss and say, hey, I want to make more money. And because I know this culture is good, he'll probably say, oh, interesting. Let's figure out how we can do that.
Yep.
I would love to see you make more money.
Yep. Exactly. And then the secret sauce on top of that is always be hiring.
Yeah.
Never stop hiring.
Yep.
Everybody should know you're hiring.
Yep.
Everybody in the community, everybody in your business, everybody should know you're hiring. Everybody on social media. Once you start getting guys to come work for you, then you got to figure out how to get them to do what you want them to do, right?
Yep.
It boils down to setting expectations up front. So we call it the employee agreement framework. It's how we write our employee agreements, and it's just primary goals, secondary goals, job description, the required skills you need, and then performance standards. Mm-hmm. So I have a little picture of a guy tossing a beanbag into, what is that? Cornhole, right? Mm-hmm. So he's got a little cornhole board. Mm-hmm. Is that what you call
maybe?
it? Cornhole something.
Let's call it a slab. It sounds cooler.
Cornhole slab, the thing with the hole in it. So like primary goal is for him to toss the beanbag. Mm-hmm. Secondary goal would be to make it in the hole. Mm-hmm. His job description is he's a beanbag tosser.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, sure.
His required skills are he must be able to throw 10 feet. Okay. And his performance standards are minimum 7 out of 10 times he needs to make it in the hole. Mm-hmm. Right. So that's an easy way to think about it. So you can go write these, you can follow that framework to write employee agreements for your technicians, employee agreements for your CSRs, employee agreements for your general manager. And then when you onboard somebody into your business or when you hire them, part of your process, they fill out the paperwork, you go over the employee agreement. And it's really important to frame the employee agreement in a way that's, this is our employee agreement. These are your primary goals, secondary goals. This is your job description.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
In the job description, this is how your job relates to the company as a whole. Here's your required skills. Here's how we're going to measure your success. Have them sign it, but then let them know this is subject to change.
Sure. Yeah. It's not. Yeah.
This is not set in stone.
Yeah. You don't know everything about everything to have it set in stone perfectly.
Yes. And when we change it, we're going to come to you and we're going to give you a new employee agreement. We're going to go over it with you and you're going to sign it again. And that's how it's going to work. Important. It's an important part. It's not a set in stone. It's not a contract. It's this changes.
Right.
As the business needs change, this changes. Because we're in business to be in business, not to have contracts.
Yeah.
So examples of that would be like, CSR, primary goal, answer the phone, book the job, keep customers happy.
Right.
Secondary objectives might be like accounts receivable, call accounts receivable, manage company email, things you want them to do,
right?
But after the first one's done, right? Job description would just be, what is their job? Like, what is their main job description, and how does that tie into the overall function of the company? What happens if they do their job well? How does that affect the company? If they do their job poorly, how does that affect the company? Required skills. What kind of skills do they need? They need to be friendly on the phone. They need to be organized. Those kinds of things. And then performance standards would be like, we need you to answer, 80% of incoming calls, and we want you to have a minimum 80% booking rate of bookable calls. Part of that is you're going to classify your calls, and here's the scorecard you're going to use at the end of the day. You're going to go classify your calls, and then you're going to go, I had this many bookable calls, I had this many unbookable, and out of the bookable ones, I booked this many calls. I got 100 calls and I was able to answer 80 of them. 10 went to voicemail, 10 hung up.
Right.
I called all 10 voicemails back.
Right.
That's what you want to know. Give them a scorecard to fill out. End of day, before they leave, they fill out the scorecard. That way you know how they're doing. Same thing with your technicians. We don't have a scorecard at my company, but we probably should. Technicians, it's primary goals would be take care of Miss Jones, offer 5-star service, do quality work. Secondary goals might be like make sure, like charge the customer enough, clean your van, those kinds of things. What's the other ones? Job description. What's their job description? How does it affect the company if they do well? How does it affect the company if they do bad? Required skills. Have to be a good communicator.
Sure.
You have to have the ability to show up on time every day. You have to be organized in your van. You have to have the ability to follow the Service Titan system, right? And then performance standards. You have to hit these certain revenue numbers, or you have to sit so many hours sold.
Right.
Those kinds of things. And then like a scorecard for a technician would be like, I sold X amount of hours today.
Right.
I did so much revenue today. I went to this many calls today.
Right.
And then you might want to ask them some questions like a 1 through 10. How well did I serve the customer today?
Right.
1 through 10. Those kinds of things. Similar to our sales guys scorecards,
Yep.
I would ask some similar questions to that.
Dude, let's do part 2.
Part 2. Dude, let's go into one more.
Dude, I can't make one more.
You got it.
I gotta go.
Employee retention framework. We'll go fast. Ready?
Ready.
This
Boom.
is one that's really important. Culture strategy for breakfast. That is a quote by Peter Drucker.
That's a good quote.
It is, because you could follow all this stuff in the beginning that we
sure.
just went over, and if your culture sucked, it's not going to work.
No.
It's what makes everything work is your culture. So culture is simply how you treat people at your company. So how your technicians treat each other, how you treat your technicians, and how your technicians treat you, and your CSRs, and how your CSRs treat you. And you get the culture you put up with. So you have to define what you want and what you accept. You have to set those standards up front with everybody. And when somebody is outside of what is an okay company culture, you have to pull them aside and let them know.
Yeah, and then you have to really just make a plan to get them back on step.
Plan to get back on step. And if they refuse to get back on step, you have to let them go, or they're going to ruin your company.
Yeah. And the longer you wait on that decision, the more damage they're going to do.
Yep. Okay.
Cool, man.
Bunch of stuff in the playbook. Go grab a copy. Super useful. See you on the next one.
Dude, see ya.